Hello everyone and welcome to Yes Corner number 7. And as you can see with me on screen tonight, I have Dave Murchison from The Hub. Thanks so much, Dave, for joining us.
Hi William, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm just going to just make sure that anyone can drop in the chat and just see if they can hear us okay, because I've got my earphones at the ready. How's things?
Yeah, good. Yeah, not bad.
Brilliant.
Weather's been pretty good the last couple of days. So it was good over the weekend, but yeah.
Excellent. And I think you want to tell us about your new arrival, because this isn't the most important thing that's happened in a couple of weeks, is it?
Yes, Grayson, son was born start of April. So he's doing fine. That's number 5. So that's it. 5-a-side team's complete.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. I'm going to ask you how you find the time to do what you do, but I think we'll get to that. So the first question I wanted to ask you was, it'd be really good to hear from you a little overview, a rundown of what the Hub is, what it tries to do, and how much does it help the Yes movement.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's the Hub's it's a website and an app, a social media platform, really. So if you imagine a kind of cross between Twitter and Facebook, the way you can like things and share things. But what it does is it's got hundreds of Yes groups on it, and hundreds of pro-independence websites as well. And it kind of just harvests all the information, all the articles and videos, podcasts and events, and it puts them in one place. And it makes it really, really easy for people to find pro-independence material. So if you need to find an event, what's happening nearby, you just look on the Hub, and there it is. Pulls it in from 3-4 different areas. And the same with all your videos, live streams, articles, and fact checks as well.
Okay, so it sounds like it does a lot of things and have it in one place. Is it just for campaigners, or should campaigners be pushing this out to those kind of the golden globe people who we want to change from no to yes? Is it useful for that?
Yeah, it's. So you imagine the Indie app, which is kind of the tool for Yes groups and campaigners to use to kind of talk amongst themselves. But the Hub's kind of like the opposite end of that. It's more inviting for people who are curious about independence. It's the website and the app are all set up to be kind of like neutral looking. There's no flags waving everywhere and all that sort of things. And it's set up so that on the internet, for example, we can push pro-independent stuff further up Google's rankings to kind of entice them to look at our website instead of the Daily Mail's, for example, to have a look at content on there. So I think for campaigners, it's useful to kind of nudge people over to the Hub to look at content on there. It's so easy to use.
Yeah. I think the ease of use of the app especially is something that's really important. What I'd love to do with the people watching, I would love to know just who is using the app at the moment. So if you could just say, yes, I'm using it. I've never heard of it, would be another good answer. And and a yes. And Dave, if it's okay for me to say, and you've looked at it, but you don't think that you'll use it. Because I think you'd find that feedback really valuable. So
absolutely,
yes, use it. No, what are you two talking about? And thirdly, yes, we've had a look at it, but we don't think it's really what we're looking for. So that would be great, just for people to drop that into the chat, and I can give that feedback. One of the things that you said, which I think is absolutely crucial, and this can sound a little bit techie, because you and I can get a little bit techie about tech, but this idea of search engine optimization. Okay, and I hope the people with us haven't just fallen asleep. But it's really important that when people go into Google and they put in things like borders with Scotland or pensions in Scotland, it's crucial, maybe one of the most important things that the movement can do, to get those searches, get indie positive searches really high up the rankings. And I would love, again, the people who are watching, at the end of this, stop watching, go into Google and put in something pretty plain like border with England, or what currency will Scotland use, and see how many pro-independence searches there are in the top 20. So this is why I'd love you to tell us just a little bit more about that and see if you agree on how important that is.
Well, this is huge. Most people don't get off the first page of Google when looking at search results. So we need to get as much of our content pushed on the first page of Google as possible. So when people scroll down that page, they're more likely to click on a pro-independence thing rather than an anti-independence item, because that, you know, we've got most of the media against us already. And then, so one of the ways we can win independence is winning it online. And that's what the Hub tries to do. I try and make sure that our content gets pushed higher and higher, because there's about 300,000 items on the Hub. And about half of those are indexed already by Google. So it's trying to make sure that those that are indexed are pushed higher and higher up. So people will click that first rather than the anti-independence article first.
I'm sure people can see why that's important, but please go away, do a search, and you'll see just the evidence of why it's so important. And we kind of champion ourselves in this movement that is so disparate, and we've got so many people, amazing campaigners, amazing organizations, all doing their own thing, and that's what makes it so powerful. But it's also a weakness, because it doesn't allow this kind of it doesn't allow a proper amplification of what we do. And I think, and why I'm so such a fan of the Hub, is that it has the potential to allow us to do it. So I'm bought in, you're bought in, there's a lot of people who are on it, but what more can campaigners do to try and improve the information on there, how the information's shared, and how we can kind of get it more in front of people?
Well, one important thing is we have to, I mean, the Hub sees everything, basically, and so I can get a big overview of what the movement's talking about. And one important thing is we need to think about the message that's going out. So a lot of campaigners need to think about what they're going to write about, or talk about, or live stream about, because we're hoping that people will click and view these things. So the message is really important. It needs to be all about pro-independence, not about SCP and ALPA, for example, because there's a lot of that going on just now, and bickering about mandates and all that sort of thing. So the campaigners need to focus. And when campaigners do the thing, it comes onto the Hub, which then can be shared out to everyone else. So it's very, very important campaigners think about that. And what else they can do is events. They're a big thing. Online events especially. They need to post events on the Hub, because the Hub has more events than anywhere else. And if everyone thinks of where can I find independence events, the Hub's got them. So if everyone posts on there, it doesn't matter if you post them on Eventbrite, Facebook, or what else, if you post them on the Hub as well, it helps everyone, because everyone knows that's where to go. And that helps, you know, in the future. We're thinking about a campaign in the future as well. So even if you look at it just now and go, well, I can't see a use for it just now, think about what's going to happen in a campaign. Where are you going to find your information? And the Hub is in your pocket, and you just pull out and just have a quick look.
Yeah, that's another really interesting point, is that if you do look at the Hub, you can see what other yes groups, other campaigners are talking about. But it's just as importantly, you can also see what they're not talking about, which allows you to do something that you're really passionate about that you don't think other people are covering. So say there's loads of chat around currency, but there's nothing about, I don't know, like financial regulation, and you know someone who's able to speak about that, or you know something about it, or you've got something that you can share. A quick look at the Hub, searchable, you can see what other people are talking about, and that's a really good use. The other use I thought was, if you want to put on an event for your yes group, go into the Hub, do a search on topic. Will it bring up a speaker? It'll bring up an event who had speakers speaking at it. So you can just go straight to that person and get content. So I think there's so much that the Hub's there for, and I think we could use it a lot better. I'd love to hear what other people are saying. I've got okay, go for it, Dave, and then I'll bring a comment in.
Yeah, there's a lot we won't be able to cover about the Hub. But if you think about events in your yes group, right? Say your yes group, you're doing an event, and you know not everyone follows your yes group. You can actually target local people that use the Hub as well. Now, it's not using any information. It's not storing your location on the server or anything. The Hub just catches it when you load the page on the app, and it'll find out your location, match it with a yes group. Has that yes group got an advert, an event coming up, and it'll put it on your timeline as you're scrolling down, and you can see it. So you can target people to within 5 miles if you want, or a mile, 120 miles, and it doesn't share any data with anyone. That's the beauty of it.
Okay, so that's two really good things. You're able to actually target people who are in the location to the event that's taking place, and also it's also the data's not being given away to someone else. There's Hashberry Stumble. I'm just going to show their comment because it builds on just what you'd said there.
Right.
So really, first thing I would say is, absolutely, the older generation are getting much more savvy in this, but really who we need to be thinking about, is that older generation, but it's also getting the younger generation involved, because a lot of the younger folk who are going to vote yes are hugely influential in their peer groups. So the more that we can engage with the whole kind of generational spectrum for the movement, the better. But it's a really good point, and again, to your point, Dave, this is why we have to kind of win this war online. We really do have to be as positive as we can to engage as many people as we can. And do you want to pick up on that? It's difficult to follow the many different strands of the movement, because that's what the Hub does.
What's really clever about the Hub is, Twitter and Facebook, there's a lot of noise going on. So you could have a yes group will post something, an article or an event, and there's a lot of chitter chatter between that. And you're having to try and filter that out. The Hub does that already. So you don't have to go and follow a yes group. You can just go onto the articles area and just read articles. It's nothing but articles. There's nothing else there. Same with the videos and podcasts. You can just go into those individual areas and just pick out things that you might be interested in. So you don't have to worry about Twitter and YouTube and kind of try to navigate through it, because the Hub's actually set up for that already. It feels a lot more structured, which should help the older generation as well.
That's a really good point, but it certainly seems like it could help every single campaigner to find the stuff that they're interested in, because we all do it. We all get Twitter up and scroll through until we find something, whereas on the Hub you can just search on that and find it. So this sounds amazing, Dave. I'd love to know how you find the time to do this, but obviously you and your team, I mean, you must have like a team of 3 developers behind you, and maybe a programmer and you. So how does, I'm being slightly disingenuous because I know that's not the case, but where do you find the time to do all this?
Well, it's just me that does it. I mean, it's just whenever I get a moment, really. It's been developed over the last 6-7 years. So I just learn as I go. I've never built an Android app really before. I've never built an iOS app before. I just decided it would be good to do. And the same with the website. I find it quite fun. So it doesn't feel like a chore.
I said we had to take it. I said we had to take it on with us.
So yeah, it is honestly just when I get a moment. I mean, I was fixing something there just before we came on. I noticed, and that's what it's like. It's if I get 2 minutes and I'm on the laptop, I can quickly do something on it. So just do that over 7 years, and that's what you end up with is the app how it looks today.
It's unbelievable. Well, I would just re-emphasize that and say to everyone, Dave's put 6 or 7 years into this, so the least you can do if you haven't gone on to the iOS store is to download it. Is it available on Apple at the moment as well? Because I know you did have some issues with that. Yeah, so it's on. So go onto your phone as soon as you finish, after you've Googled pensions in Scotland, and download the app and have a good look at it. That would be really good. Are you planning anything different with the app in the future, or is it just a case of kind of slowly just improving it?
It depends. Basically, this is amazing. We've got a whole platform. The Yes Movement has a whole platform just sitting there, and a pro independence guy who will develop it. So if anyone has ideas on how we can make it better, you just say, and we can make it work. I mean, that's where the fact check part came from. That wasn't anything in the app before, and I was on a Zoom call with another Yes group and said, "What about fact checks?" I mean, I believe in Scotland do them, the national and FEDIT as well. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. putting them all in one place, and I've used it now. I mean, I used it before, but there was a debate on Twitter, and I was in there all the time. Somebody mentioned currency, and I just tapped the currency tab on the Hub, and there was an article about currency, and you can just quickly pull it up, and there you go. So it's quite good for myth busting and just having a chat with somebody. You know, the information's right there and it's collated. It's just wonderful. Same with live streaming. You can actually live stream with the Hub as well. So if you're on a march, you can just tap the live stream, you just put in a wee description of what you're doing, and away you go. So it's just ideas that just come from either Zoom meetings, or I mean, the live stream one came from when we left the EU, and we did that candlelight vigil. I think it was in January last year, and I think there's about 20 or 30 events that were going on, but there weren't many live streams. So I decided, well, hey, there's a wee bit we can do there. So I put the live stream functionality in, so if anything like that happens again, everyone can just use it on the Hub and live stream and share away.
Well, that's fantastic, and it shows how flexible you are. What about funding for the app and the work that you do? Has this come from anyone within the movement, or is it all completely self-funded? And can campaigners get involved in helping you with that?
Well, SIF, the Scottish Independence Foundation, helped fund the MacBook and the iPhone that I needed to do the iOS app. So they gave me the funding for that. Which is amazing, because there's no way I could have done an iOS app without it. Beyond that, it's mostly out of my own pocket. There's a Patreon page, and I've got a few people in there that are donating every month, and that helps keep the server on. There's quite a few bits and pieces I need to pay for every month the Hub uses to keep going, so it helps fund that as well. But the rest of it is just out of my own pocket.
I take it there's no advertising on it?
No, that's it. The only advertising I'd allow on it is just yes groups, and they can just get in touch and say, like I said, we've got an event happening, or for example, when Now Scotland formed, I put a wee advert up for them with a button to join. That was it, and it doesn't cost a penny for anyone to advertise. It's all free. It's all for the movement. It's all the same aim. You know,
that's incredible. Absolutely. So no adverts, no data harvesting, collecting everything that we need to do. How popular is it at the moment, and do you think that's maybe an area where we can ask the campaigners to kind of get the message out for you, or are enough people on it already?
Well, it would be great to have every yes group on it, everyone involved in yes group. I mean, I look after all the yes groups myself, well, most of them myself. There's about 3,000 folk in it just now. It's pretty active. There was, in the last 30 days, the Hub sent out 560,000 notifications. So if you imagine, you know, for your yes group,
not to one person though. So
no,
don't worry about that.
That wasn't me testing it. But if you're a yes group and you want to get information out, you know, the Hub's right there. You know, it's going to send a direct notification to people that follow your group. But it really needs people that run yes groups to get involved in it. Just because it helps make sure the information on it is right for a start, because it's hard to maintain 500 groups just by myself. And yeah, just anyone who wants to come on and just, if they use it and they find a way of making it better, because all the Hub needs to do is just take a few more people over to yes, and if anyone has ideas how we can do it using an app, that'd be amazing. There's not many apps. Doesn't matter if it's pro-independence or anti-independence. There's not many apps floating about. So we've got a golden opportunity, you know, for people searching on the App Store about Scottish independence to catch them. Yeah,
so now it really does seem like it's a great time to be pushing that out. Well, you know, I've got no idea. I put my finger in the air and say that if you've got 3,000 people on there who are kind of active as campaigners, we could at least double that, if not treble it, if not quadruple it, to really start capturing the majority of the movement. So yeah, please do, and people who are watching this live and also on the on demand, share the what you've learned tonight about the app. I've got a question which I think I'll just drop over and you can answer that. How many items did you say were linked on Google?
There's 150,000 it mentioned were indexed.
Okay, right. You need to try and remember if this is one of them.
This is a thing that we get quite often. We seem to jump to the tune of Westminster with the stories that they have instead of dictate the narrative on things. Shetland has no appetite for it. So I don't think there's actually any fact checks on it because there's nothing to fact check as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
but you know what?
It's
but
a
people
really
can
good
test
question,
it.
though.
Yeah, people can test it. They can go on the Hub and have a look and see if there is an article on it.
Well, I'm just following and seeing if Hashberry Stumble is John or Wayne or Casper. So I'm just trying to follow the chat to find out. But Hashberry Stumble, why don't you go onto the app and see that? That would be great. But that's just a perfect example. Is you know, you could just go there and see what's there, and I think you'll be surprised at how much information is there for people. So you said that you'd like to get more yes groups involved, and you'd like to get more yes groups on the app, and you'd like to get them more involved in what they're doing. How does the events part play? He talks about live streaming, but if a yes group has got an event, what do they actually do? Can you take me through the steps for that group to get something onto the app?
Okay, well, there's two ways of doing it. So if you've joined the Hub, you've set up your yes group. So if you have an event on Eventbrite, you just put in your Eventbrite page and the Hub will just automatically find it. So as soon as you've posted on Eventbrite, the Hub takes all the information over anytime you post an event. So it can do it automatically for you. If you're going to do it manually, on all of them, the website and the apps as well, there's a little plus button. Tap that and create an event, and you just fill all the information in there. And you can set it. I mean, there's an event in Skye, the weekly walk over the Skye Bridge. So because it's a weekly event, you can set your event to be weekly if you want, and I'll just post it again and again for you. So you don't have to do. The idea is, yes groups are pretty busy, and they don't have time to be posting all over the place. So the Hub will try and do as much of it for you as it can. But that's the way to do it. You just go on it. It's very, very easy. It'll take you 2 minutes to post up the event, and that's it. Great. And there's just a quick thing, William. You know this already, but there's a little 2 lines of code that you can copy. It's on the hub.scot/blog, and there's a resources area there, and you can embed events on your own blog as well. So it takes all the data that the Hub does have and posts it on your website for you. And it means that if all the yes groups that have websites post this on, you know, everyone will know what events are happening because it's the same information as what the Hub has as well. And there's no coding experience needed. You just copy and paste. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, and I dropped that onto my independent.scot website just a couple of weeks ago to test, and it was literally just a line of code, no coding needed, just pasted in, and that appeared magically. It's in the way that you would embed like a video that you would get from YouTube. So we've got quite a few comments coming in. I think I've lost it. But it was like, you know, we seem to be doing quite a lot for people online, but we're not doing much for people offline. And you know, again, I can completely see where you're coming from that, but I don't think we're doing anywhere near enough for people who are online. And obviously COVID's been really difficult for people to do stuff offline, but I really want to help support any organization who's doing stuff online, because it's absolutely crucial. People get their information from Google searches, and we need to get the right information in front of people. So, you know, it's a really good point. I said I've lost it. There's lots of comments, but how do you feel about that, Dave? Is, you know, you said it's where the referendum is going to be won. Is that something you feel that strongly about?
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, we campaigned offline in 2014. And you know, but you use both, campaign offline and online. But the thing with online is, you know, everything stays there as well. That's the issue we've got to fight with, that misinformation stays online. Offline, you chuck it in the bin and you forget about it. So we've got to combat that as well. So online is very, very important.
Yeah, and that all helps in terms of this boring SEO optimization thing again.
Yes.
If people are embedding the codes to your event with the links, to their events or any links back to the hub, this all helps the algorithms point towards the hub as a resource for people to go to. So it's really, really important. And I think that the movement's stronger when it understands what everyone else is doing, but also what also works together. So you gave us a couple of examples about you pointing towards Now Scotland. There's quite a lot of crowdfunders going on at the moment. Is there anything on the app that kind of helps you if you've got your, I'm kind of calling it the indie pound, if you've got your indie pound and you do want to help support an organisation, does the hub help you do that?
Yep, it's got that as well. It's fundraisers. I can't remember how many were there. There were 5 or 6 that were listed at the moment. Again, if you've got a Just Giving page, GoFundMe page, and Indiegogo, you link those to the hub and it'll pull in that information and keep it up to date, tell you how close you are to your goal. And you just click the button in the middle and it'll take you to the page to donate. So again, you can have umpteen yes groups having to fundraise, and they're all in one place. It makes it so much easier for the movement to help each other out.
That's a really good point. And I also think it helps people decide where they want to put their indie pound, because it's almost like, if you're fortunate enough that you can give a few pounds a week or a few pounds a month to an organisation, go onto the hub, choose the one that you think's kind of closest to your, however you want to help the movement and look that way. We've just got a question here. Why don't we all have the indie sites carrying a different topic? That way, if you want to know something specific, you don't have to troll the sites for it. Casper, that's what the hub's for. That does all the trolling. That brings all stuff in. You just go to the hub, promote it, and people will be able to find it. But it's certainly there. What have we got? Let me see. I didn't read this, so I'm just going to pull it up. So hopefully it's a good one. To an OEPs that aren't intently savvy, William and Dave would sound like they are speaking gibberish, dots and comms and flashes. Well, that's interesting to know. I'm actually not really that techie, but I just realised how important it is. So I'm going to step back. I'm going to ask Dave to explain, in as less technical a term as he can, why this is so important and how people can get involved in the app.
Okay, it's really important. I mean, okay, we're talking .coms and slashes and that as well, but most people are actually online and most people understand how the internet works. What's really, really important about the hub, you don't need to understand the technical side of it. It's just making sure that the information that the movement has, that we're able to put it back out together. There's a lot of content that you'll completely miss if you're just using the internet, if you end up just clicking on Facebook or going on BBC News, for example. If you end up on the hub and you just tap articles and you just scroll your way through, find something that catches your eye and read it, that's something that you wouldn't have been able to do just going on Facebook or just browsing the internet. It's not, the app's set up so it's nice and easy to use for everyone. It's all laid out nicely so you know exactly what you're clicking on. Because there's no adverts or anything to trick you out, it feels secure as well.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point again from Casper Wallace there. It's not just OEPs who need help. There's the kind of digital native isn't necessarily a young person. There's huge issues with data access, people who are younger from more disadvantaged backgrounds. So I think a role for the movement, and something I'm keen for Independence Live to do, is to get out, even if it's just virtually, and say to people, this is how you live stream. This is how you upload. This is how you edit a video. This is how you can use these things for graphics. And we're really keen to do that. And hopefully, now that the election cycle's over in kind of June or July, we're going to put an event together. And I know Dave's really keen to get involved and actually have like workshops showing people exactly how to use the app. So we'll get some really good questions here.
I'll just quickly, William, as well, just on that point about the OEPs, that, I mean, it is true, but if you think of all the different skill sets movement have, this is an app, and it's one part of what the movement can do. So of course there's help that OAPs need, and there's offline campaigning as well. It's true, but we've also got this to complement that.
Yeah, and that's a really important point, which will just pick up on Wayne's comment again. Exactly. If OAPs don't have the internet, then there's no point us trying to have a conversation with them about how to use an app. You really have to kind of target this to people who are able to support. And if they don't have the internet, then there's huge issues that we have to address as a society that make sure that they do have and they have access to that. And Casper's just he trained an OEP of 70. Trained at OEP of 79. It's not easy. No, it's not easy. It's absolutely not easy, and it's not just easy for OEPs, but for older folk. Well, Dave, we've absolutely rocketed through that, and what I wanted to do was just highlight how useful this is. What we're going to do, if people want to sign up to the Hub, it's the absolute best thing for them to do. But we're going to send out an email towards the end of the week to our database, which is close to 5,000 people now, and link them to the Hub. Now, if you're on that database, I'd love you to go to the Hub and sign up, but forward that to someone else in the movement, and let's see if we can use this as a way of getting a few hundred or a few thousand people onto the Hub, because it's a really, really useful resource. And I think hats off and huge credit, Dave, for you to the last 6 or 7 years, considering everything else that's going on in your life, to have done that. So thanks very much from me and for the movement. Really appreciate it. Well, that's all we've got tonight. The time for tonight, Dave. Thanks very much, and until the next Yes Corner in a couple of weeks. Thanks for joining us. Bye now.